Attention gamers. If you were to ask me, a casual Worlds viewer, what the theme of League of Legends has been lately, I would say Faker. Some yelping Harry Potter doppelganger. And Gragas. To be honest, I don't know how much Gragas was played in Worlds this year, but I do know there are entire Reddit threads on him being in a Riot Games 200 years of experience state right now. Plus I've seen this Swedish fish play him with success, and knowing he was picked in Game 5 of T1 Cinderella story is enough for me to see why this drunk diabetic is so dominant. And from my Reddit research, it boils down to him being tanky when he builds damage, being bursty when he builds tank, and having cooldowns shorter than a Gen Z's attention span. So today we are going to study how the rank 1 Gragas player operates on this busted pick in Challenger, and then we are going to see if a mechanically challenged hard stuck can also pop off on this champ. Spoiler: even though I can jerk my ween to some sloppy walrus bomba combos, and then learn the hard way that they are much more difficult to replicate yourself. I did learn in my first game that my ability to deny someone from getting fed on this champ is a tilter, as I was against some cube pussy who was definitely better than the guy reading the tool tips before the game, but I would somehow come out on top during trades. Compliment my jungler when he was in town, and this resulted in the enemy team requesting that my first opponent be reported for being so frustrated against this pick, which just goes to show. A strategy revolving around long pubes and big bushes is never optimal. Which is why I've written the following poem about manscaping. With holidays near, the season's begun, time to sparkle and shine, to look second to none. Manscaped's Chairman Pro is here for the ride, with everything needed to groom right by your side. First up, the shaver, the star of the show, a 360-degree head for that holiday glow. 2 blades to choose, for close shave or stubble, keeps you smooth and stylish, with no cuts or trouble. And it's waterproof too, so no need to fret. I shave in the shower cuz who cares if it gets wet. With 75 minutes of battery power, no mid-shave panic at the holiday hour. The Power Shave Gel glides on just right, keeps your skin happy, no redness in sight. And post-shave, there's more, a face soother treat, to calm any bumps and keep you soft and neat. So give yourself or a loved one the gift that's supreme. The Chairman Pro, a man's grooming dream. So use my link for 20% off. Don't delay, join 11 million who've joined the Manscaped way. With free shipping too, it's the deal of the year. For the smoothest holiday, bring Manscaped near. Alright, starting with the man who has mastery level 7 and staring at a fat sweaty alcoholic. As you can see, he manages to win a trade as a level 1, and while he immediately is getting shoved in, there's something about being slammed by that amount of cellulite that keeps him at a health advantage. But despite operating a dank freeze, he still has to deal with Samsung Galaxy J4 coming in to try and camp his lane early, but he stays strong and focused like a monk, which, not to spoil anything, is a vast difference from how I handled getting ganked in my game, which boiled down to dying like a dog and then saying to the douche to pitch a tent and that he's a dick pimple. But hey, to each his own. It turns out when a challenger player is getting camped, he knows that Starvin Jarvan can't pull vault through his BMI of like 400, and so he politely voices his distaste for the man's presence by simply murdering him. Then I guess when you're this size you get pretty defensive against anyone trying to steal your grub, so he welcomes a 2v1 at level 7, which was brave, but I guess this biker knows that 2 Chains and the prick in purple won't be able to compete in his weight class, and this buys him enough time for some wide-hipped Halo 2 NPC to come in and deliver some fatal plasma. A true alcoholic knows how rejuvenating that big swig can be, so he starts to feel alive again as his mid lane Kai'Sa finishes the double. And look, I'm not for shaming anyone's fetishes, but I do have to point out that getting Eiffel Towered by 2 sumo wrestlers is a bit extreme enough where I would start to seek professional help if I was this talent. But then it's just them two again, and if you were to ask me as a hard-stuck backseater if picking an extended slap fest against someone with Conqueror on top of their Hogwarts daycare class, I would say no, that's ill-advised, but fuck me, I guess minions in this elo just respect you being a good player and opt to not do much damage as he effortlessly wins the trade and sends this little bitch from Beyblade Town running. It's only 12 minutes into the game, but his bot lane is just getting effed in the A. Which explains why Frosted Flakes Ezreal is up top, but while our protagonist may be deep on the Ozempic wait list, he has no patience for little blonde twinks whipping static electricity at him on his home turf, so he whips a big Bud Lighter to summon the shifty shitter back for a quick shutdown. Then I guess he's like, if the enemy wants to shit piss and come in my lane, then I take these XXX skin tight leather jeans straight to their hometown and rub my salty asshole all over that lane. And unfortunately for BDSM Aladdin, his idea of a golden opportunity to save himself from the wrath of Rift Eric Cartman didn't quite pan out. Sure enough, all the bot lane butt buddies came flying in to defend their homeland, which is noble, and while Plasma Patty fell victim to a baker's dozen saw blades, it wasn't enough to startle this Snorlax. He packed a full damn keg for the occasion, and one marksman being a lightweight and dying wasn't going to deter him from partying until that shit is dried up. His jungler comes in trying to turn Ezreal into a dead bitch shish kebab, but there's a lot of interested parties in the area, so Gragas has to impersonate his favorite restaurant by being in and out the entire fight, which at times looked bleak, but the man dodges death just as well as he dodges salads as his foes fall before him one at a time. He's still just a few queefs from meeting his maker, but I'm sure Faker himself would be proud of his ability to survive here, as he has proven to be the unkillable Burger King himself in this one. At this point, any interactions with his lane mate are more one-sided than a Mobius strip, as he is tanky enough to prove that the only thing that could possibly do damage to him at this point is maybe a treadmill or the idea of intermittent fasting, but surely not this parkouring Pablo who can't even hop a hill in the presence of Frank the Tank. And I guess the strategy is to just build beefy and then to just own the fact that you are the super fat guy that no one wants to be around or sit next to on an airplane, and he's leaning into that role like a champ, knowing damn well that there is little anyone can do to counter him at this point. This opens the door for them to hit a 5-finger slippy on the erect river worm before escaping through the Fuckboy Express, knowing damn well that the first enemy that rides it will receive a warm welcome from Generation XXL, and everyone else will be left running before the high elo decision to peel off and preserve their barren buffs is made. He's now like, okay Kaisa, you are Rob Dyrdek and you already know who the fuck that makes me, as he bodies the shit out of Silas to help her one day fund her own fantasy factory. They breach the base like it's a beach in Normandy, and just when the locals come out ready to defend, he informs Jarvan that the ingredients list of whatever's in his barrel contains 50 cc's of red 40 potent enough to kill a horse, and then he continues escorting his boys. Kaisa has 2 plus-sized bodyguards, so she's popping off, knowing that if anyone does eventually take her down, there's no way in hell they will not be getting sat on and suffocated. So I guess that's how the rank 1 Gragas on my server is achieving close to a 70% win rate with this pick. But with that, it was time to show if the polar other end of Gragas mastery, aka practically first timing it, can achieve the same success. My first board certified slap fest wasn't quite as successful as it turns out. Desk popping a barrel mid-fight at level 3 is how you speed run a lost trade, but I didn't put on my overalls this morning to not double down, so a flash fail nibble execute ensued, and then against the advice of my legal counsel I am showing you the second encounter that I had with this spin to win shit stain. But I promise there's a happy ending, as you can see the douche snozzle then proceeded to proxy, thinking he just turned 6, which with his genetics is apparently old enough to dunk, and I know this, so when the 5 red menstrual tears started circling me I knew I had to butt chug some purple drink and end it before he got any ideas. Then with that dick pimple out of the way for a bit, I took a booze cruise towards the Rift Equator to see if my fat ass was athletic enough to mount a horse. It wasn't, but I did manage to get it drunk enough to pass out in front of my friends. But as I was heading back home, I guess this Darius just finished his book report of the book How to Not Properly Proxy, and when I got there he made the mistake of touching me inappropriately in front of my weaponized statue and called me woke, but my body is a temple, so he had to pay for his crimes. Anyways, this Demacian dumb ass is failing miserably at cosplaying the Bausts, and while I don't quite have the courage to look him in the eyes when I'm all by me lonesome, I have the golden goo by my side to bounce around like a psychopath so that I can build the confidence to chuck alcoholic beverages at the proxying punk. It is worth noting that in a 2v2 context my rate of success wasn't quite as high, as while I was surprised at how tanky I was with just a cosmic drive, it didn't make up for the fact that this dude was about to LeBron my ass so hard. But thanks to my jungler's survival mechanism of mitosis, I can officially say my team came out on top of that one. Turns out this Darius is one of those enigmas where every time you see him he's overextended and dying like a dipshit, but somehow he's still an absolute menace that takes 3 people to deal with, and me being 0 for Sunday on my skill shots isn't helping the situation. But Zach is getting full value of his passive, so with the help of President Obama and a prayer we are eventually able to take him down. And I don't know if there's like a strong magnetic pull towards our nexus or what, but this Darius just can't seem to stay far enough away to not constantly be more outnumbered than Hassan Abbey at a Trump convention. Wrote this joke on November 4th. What up, blissful naivety? But anyways, yeah, Darius died again. Up until this point my KDA wasn't amazing considering their top laner had died 65 times, but that was about to change as I hit the most overweight flanky gank in history to steal a kill on the windshitter, and then when just his pocket pussy is left I time a keg pop to get credit for that too. Then something coursing through my silver threaded veins makes me want to check enemy blue buff for no apparent reason, only to be pleasantly surprised to find Ghost Rider himself there as I try to break the ice with a few forced cocktails before getting shit-faced myself and just smashing him to death. Then feeding monstrosity Darius makes an appearance, and I'm thinking I've dealt with that disaster all game. I'd rather do a little skip to my Lou into Jack Daniels dick over this bomb rat combo. But after some nomadic adventures it's time for this fat ass to head back home, only for me to be surprised by the two worst types of players in this game. Yasuo and Yuumi players, and I already have to deal with high blood pressure, diabetes and AIDS, so I have no choice but to disrespect them. Full disclosure, I wanted to back as I was doing some window shopping, but Dantes was insistent on trying to tell me his mom spit in his mouth, so I'm just like, okay weird, I'll just take your camps. But it turns out Obama's gag reflex was triggered by that video and he had choice words as I stopped my PvE just long enough to ult, and then I went back to my questing. Anyways, a big team fight breaks out with the news that a dragon will be up for grabs in about a minute, so I do what I do best, which is to steal a kill that I didn't earn, but then I stick with the group as the fuckfest extends into the forest as I kind of just chuck all my shit right in the middle of half of them, which if I'm being honest I had no clue if anything was hitting, but I got a double and then that whore Hecarim pissed off shortly after and I totally didn't die to Darius dots or anything. Because what actually happened was the fight extended and I came back in to make them think they could kill me while doing a windshitter death dash in to escape the madness combo right after. And I guess with the airbender dead the cat was up for adoption, so surprised the feeding menace picked her up, which was a bit shaky, but a few keggy boys and a belly slam was enough to orphan the kitty again and then put her out of misery before her OG owner returned. He tried to avenge things, but I am deceptively nimble for my size, so I escaped his wrath long enough to let him kill one of my teammates. I then regrouped, whiffed a few abilities and witnessed his demise. So yeah, I think it is evident that I had no clue what the hell I was doing, but somehow I managed to rack up a pretty fat 16 bomb to the point where I would say any time investment on the current state of Gragas would definitely feel OP. That and fuck that Darius. Rav out.